And once Scott's underneath him, it's done.
Yeah, I mean, the car, we're talking a lot about the top end advantage they have. It's not all there. I mean, that was just the car is working really well, and he was able to hold it tight, get the power down better, and he was up next to RHR before he could defend.
Back live, Scott Pruitt now beginning to extend his lead a bit. It was 0.8 of a second at the line the last time by, with just over 3 hours and 8 minutes to go from here at the World Center of Racing.
But you know, it was impressive that BMW just then. He pulled away. Ryan Hunter-Reay was able to suck back in underneath him as he overtook him. By rights, he should have held him in the slipstream down the back straight, and not a chance. He just was dropped like a stone.
And this time at the line, 1.6 seconds. So Pruitt able to pull out another 0.8 of a second in just a single lap over Ryan Hunter-Reay. And now Ryan Hunter-Reay has to be thinking about Mike Rockefeller behind him, because Rockefeller in the Corvette from Action Express beginning to close down. Rockefeller's won this race before. We talk about the talent that he has. He's won at Le Mans. He's won at Sebring. He's won here.
Yeah, and he's got the bit between his teeth, hasn't he? I mean, this car hasn't had a trouble-free run at all, but it's very strong right now. And again, we don't really know where they are on their tire rotation, on their tire wear. And if Rocky's got slightly better tires, who knows? But I tell you what, we watched the 60 go through here with Ambrose. I mean, everyone is so close right now. This is the yin and yang of the stint, really. We're going to see the up and downs as tire wear, driver fatigue, track conditions.
You talk about the fatigue, and Tommy, you and I were talking about the frustration. If you hear it in Wayne Taylor's voice and the other teams up and down pit road, you know it's been imparted into their drivers. And what you hope is that the drivers don't let that frustration get to them on the racetrack. I can remember in 1995, I was very frustrated in the Trans Am Series by a guy who just kept winning races. I don't know who that was, but you know, it can lead you to try to do stupid things, and I hope we don't see that today.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of these things. This is such a long race. You got so much to think about. I'm pretty sure they're tired enough that they're pretty much just focused on trying to get around. Afterwards, I think it will be the time where you'll have a lot of that would come out.
And obviously that Trans Am driver was you, and you know what it's like. People get frustrated. They start taking cheap shots at you, and it makes it difficult. And I hope it's not what it comes down to as Pruitt continues to lead over Ryan Hunter-Reay, Mike Rockefeller, Marcus Ambrose, Antonio Garcia. That's the top 5 in Daytona prototypes. And Rockefeller really hounding Ryan Hunter-Reay. But we talk about what a great season he had in 2012, winning the IndyCar Championship. While Rockefeller may be close, I think RHR is pretty good with handling the pressure.
Yeah, he's certainly not going to fold under the pressure. He revels in it. You know, you heard in the clip after when we came back on the air this morning that he says, I think it's going to be a shootout amongst 5 guys, and it's going to be fun.
His car does look a little bit more nervous through the left-hander there, the fast left king. Looks like his car's moving a little bit more than Rocky's car. But, you know, maybe on other places it's more balanced. But these guys, I mean, we just actually saw in the GT there, just to refer back, we had a mirror of this. In both classes, we have the top 5 cars sitting there all poised on the same lap. Amazing.
I think you may be right, Justin. Actually, when RHR came back onto the banking with Pruitt behind him, the car wiggled a little bit. One of the things that allowed Scott to dive underneath him and take the position away very quickly.
He could run pretty easily when you look like that pace at least.
The Action Express cars seem very stable off the corner. The question is, and you were talking about downforce, where's your downforce? I mean, it could be that the 9 just has a little more downforce. It's a little more stable, but the top speed is a little bit less than the 10.
And even though these are both Corvettes, they're running different chassis underneath, Corvette bodies.
3 hours, 4 minutes to go. Scott Pruitt once again up front in the BMW Riley from Ganassi Racing, looking to tie the record for the number of overall wins at the Rolex 24 at Daytona. We'll be back to more.
turn intake valve and the guy hands me a lockout wrench.
No way.
I'm like, what is this? A drain pipe slip knot?
Wherever your business takes you, nobody keeps you on the road like Progressive Commercial Auto. We work wherever you work. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
Racing cars and stopping Alzheimer's disease? Actually, it makes perfect sense. Because whether you're a race car driver, a roadie, or a rocker, Alzheimer's can happen to you. I'm Brian Johnson, and I'm a driver for the most powerful group in the fight, the Alzheimer's Association. Donate today to the Highway to Help and get us across the finish line just a bit faster.
February 22nd on Speed, the Asphalt Gladiators return to racing's biggest arena.
Here we go.
As the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series hits the high banks for a full throttle fight to the finish.
Hard into the wall.
The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series from Daytona, presented by DirecTV. February 22nd at 7 Eastern, live on Speed. And after the race, don't miss a special preview of Are You Faster Than a Redneck?
Still waiting to build your dream home? With Schumacher Homes, now you can, for the price of a used home, and move in as little as 4 months. Start from hundreds of award-winning Schumacher designs, or bring in your own ideas.
That fireplace makes the great room.
The island is going to be perfect for entertaining.
We get everything we want, and no going up and down stairs.
It's your dream home, and it's more affordable than you can imagine. Schumacher Homes provides award-winning quality at the best price. That's why we're America's largest custom home builder. Call the number on your screen or go to CustomDreamHouse.com right now for your free custom home building guide that shows how building your dream home can be faster, easier, and cost even less than someone else's used home. Call or visit CustomDreamHouse.com now and get $4,000 in free upgrades. Schumacher Homes. Live in your dream home, not someone else's.
February 22nd, the world's toughest truckers hit the high banks for the can't-miss truck race of the year. Strap in for 250 miles of wide-open racing and a fight to the finish that's sure to take your breath away. Don't miss the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series from Daytona, February 22nd at 7 Eastern, live on Speed. Trucks are always awesome anywhere you go, but here at Daytona, it's definitely something to see. And second, third, fourth Daytona prototypes, they're right there. Ryan Hunter-Ray still holding down that point. The last car in the serial there is Marcus Ambrose in the 60 from Mike Shank Racing. Remember, twice in this event they've come from 7-lap deficits, and they're back on the lead lap. That is your defending race champion from 2012.
And look at Ambrose. You know, everyone knows him now as a NASCAR guy, but two-time V8 Supercar champ, and virtually untouchable when things are going right on the road races in the Cup side. But this shows you the guy they're using as the spacer to get from Wilson to Allmendinger. Clearly, Oz is not fully recovered from his training accident, and so to have a guy like Ambrose step in and have the confidence in him, he's clearly a gamer. Where Shank said, "All right," and look at him. Starting to close it up on these guys in front of him.
Rocky is setting up Ryan right now as he comes onto the NASCAR 3 and 4. He will get him in the next lap or two, but right now, look, he's getting towed up behind him. This is fantastic stuff. He's worked really hard over the last 3 laps and pretty much has probably evaluated, like you do as a driver, exactly where the car in front is weak, and he's tucked up underneath as he comes up, finishing off the tri-oval here under start finish. He's pulling the inside. This is very nice. Couldn't quite pull it off. I mean, Ryan dove in there under the brakes so hard, Tommy, that I think he made it impossible for him.
I asked Ryan, you know, this is his first time driving this Dallara chassis, and I said, what does it do well and so forth. He says it actually is really good on the brakes. That was at the Roar, and so he's making max advantage of that.
It's an interesting point. We see the Corvettes out there just like this one, the Velocity Worldwide entry from Wayne Taylor Racing, and the Corvette behind it. While they are Corvettes in body and in engine and drivetrain, it is a different chassis underneath, both of them. A Dallara chassis for the 10 and the Coyote chassis there, and the number 9 for Action Express. So they'll have nuances that are slightly different. That's the battle in Daytona prototype. In GT, the 44 still leads overall, and John Potter must be very proud of what Magnus Racing is continuing to do, Andrew. Bit of a problem with Andrew's microphone right now, so we'll get back down to Magnus Racing and check on that momentarily.
I think it was the omelette, Brian. Actually, it made his suit not fit quite so well. Sorry, Andrew, it serves you right. But you can see the 44 is just really stunning, really running very hard.
Well, we understand the omelet problem has been fixed, Andrew.
Yeah, well, I hope so. I had a bit of mic problem there. John Potter, here you are, owner-driver team, and you're up against the might of Audi. 3 of them, millions of Deutschmarks in there.
Well, this race is always a challenge, no matter who you're going up against. And we won it last year, and we're just all we knew when we came here was we just had to do the exact same thing, and it would work out. So far, so good, but there's still a few hours left to go. Hopefully, we'll end up with another one of these.
Obviously, the way it works, John, with the wave-bys, it closes everything up again, but it does seem that you've got more speed than anyone else.
Well, there's a lot of fast cars out there, but, you know, and our car's fast, and our crew did a great job making it so, but we've also got some fast drivers. Andy Lally, my full-season co-driver, is in the car right now, and he's just doing an awesome job fighting off that very fast Ferrari.
What will be the plan for the end of the race? Will Andy take the flag, or are you going to change before then?
We will make it. Andy's been in there for a little bit, so we will make a driver change before the end. But fortunately, we have a couple other fast drivers here that can do a good job also.
So it won't be you. Who will take it to the flag?
Well, that's just publicly speaking, to be determined. We'll wait. Stay tuned.
And one thing, earlier on, you probably didn't notice, I did a little feature about your omelette maker. Brilliant.
I did see that, actually. Thank you. Yeah. No, you gotta keep everyone relaxed here.
Thanks very much, John, and back to the booth.
3 of the last 5 years, a Porsche has won the GT category. The other 2 years, it was a Mazda from Speed Source. So Porsche always very strong here. We understand that Marcus Ambrose has taken advantage of perhaps a bobble from the part of Mike Rockenfeller. Remember, Rockenfeller was in there trying to push on the back of Ryan Hunter-Reay. Ambrose right there at the end of it. Let's see. We talk about V8 supercar driver, and he's going to use a little help from traffic. He does. It looks like Rockenfeller had to get out of the throttle as GT traffic. A Porsche comes over and squeezes him to the outside. He has to lift, and that's all that Ambrose needed.
Yeah. This is unbelievable, this run of the 60 car back towards the front.
I mean, I remember last night I was looking down on we've got screens in front of us for the viewers at home, and we can see all the timing and scoring, and he was down in like 47th place, which in the old days would have been really, please just go home. But now, see the way these rules are working, and he's right there and extremely competitive.
I got a kick out of Mike Shank's tweet when he first got back on the lead lap. I didn't know he must. I'm assuming he's a dog breeder as well, because he said back on the lead lap bitches. So he was clearly excited about that.
Yeah, no. I mean, you know, maybe that's the good luck token for him. But you can see right now he's 60 with Marcus behind the wheel is just fantastic. And you know, but you get into a rhythm right now at this stage of the race, Brian, and they're pushing hard. But this isn't the final. You know, metaphorically speaking, they haven't gathered top gear yet. They're in 5th right now in the race, and they've got one more stage to go. So no mistakes now, because you can't gain them back, and that's the big problem.
2:54 to go. Still 9 minutes longer than an average sprint race would be. But interestingly enough, Rockenfeller has dropped back a little bit. I don't know if he got something, you know, the dirt debris on the tires is going to take a lap to get that off and get the handling of that Corvette back underneath him. But he's dropped back a bit after Ambrose was able to get around him.
It could be something as simple as literally something like that. You're so pumped, you're so tired, you're relying on the adrenaline, and a little thing like that, just a little disappointment, and sometimes just mentally it takes you a little bit to get gathered back up and going back at it again, things that you don't normally have to contend with.
Saw the 56 car in there in the serial as Ambrose was working his way through. Clint Boyer holding down the 8th position in GT, and I continue to be impressed with the job that Clint Boyer has done that entire Waltrip, of course, a team and they're running good here, as are several of the Ferraris. Right now it's Porsche, Ferrari, Porsche, and then the Audi brigade lines up 4th, 5th, and 6th in GT. 3 different manufacturers still gunning for the watch in GT. And for Scott Pruitt, he's looking for his 5th win. Can the Corvettes do anything about it? Does Ford have anything for BMW? We'll find out. There's more to come from Daytona.
The tempers overflowing, and there's a fight. Are you kidding me? Am I dreaming right now?
It's going to be a drag race to the start-finish line.
We've won it, we've won it, we've won it. I'm Daytona 500 champion, I can't believe it.
Great seats can still be yours. Call 1-800-PIT-SHOP or visit Daytona500.com.
Green flag is out, and here we go.
When we came to Sears Point with the Audi 90, it was a jewel. You put your foot in the throttle, you could use the power instantly. But the cockpit was full of water. This was the scariest 20 minutes of my life.
When I saw where was the car, I had no choice.
Benoit Scullier has pulled off an absolutely awesome maneuver. The Audi is back out in front.
On the track or in your car, there's no room for error. When it comes to your car's protection, make it WeatherTech. Driven to perform.
You hear that? That's the sound of car insurance companies these days. Here a cheap, there a cheap, everywhere a cheap. You get it. So what if instead of just a cheap choice, you could make a smart choice? Like Esurance, for example. They were born online and built to save people money from the beginning. That's what they've always done. Not just something they cheap about. That's insurance for the modern world. Esurance, now backed by Allstate. Click or call.
Every single hour of every single day, people are renting movies.
This is the time to get into the DVD rental business.
It's a no-brainer.
DVD rentals are an $8 billion a year business, and 1 in 3 movies are now rented from DVD kiosks.
It sells itself.
Get in on the action now with DVD Now, your own DVD rental kiosk business.
Wish I would have done it years ago. The potential for growth is huge.
Go online right now to www.dvdnow.net to reserve your place in the next DVD Now webinar.
They teach you what you need to know.
I do believe anybody can do it. It's very easy. No degree required. Of all the things that I've done in my life, yes, this has been the easiest.
I only have to work 2-3 hours a week. I'm actually making money while I sleep.
Are you ready to learn how to build your own network of DVD rental kiosks? Go online right now to dvdnow.net to reserve your place in the next free, no-risk DVD Now business ownership webinar. Opportunities are limited and filling up fast. Time is running out, so you must act now.
I love DVD Now. I love them.
Now this weekend at Daytona, a little history on display. Formula V, 50 years. It's the 50th year anniversary for Formula V in the United States, powered by Volkswagen 1600cc engines. These little cars have been the starting point for a lot of racers who've come out of the SCCA, the Sports Car Club of America, and into pro racing. Of course, the other thing about Daytona, it's also the stage of the Budweiser Duel at Daytona. It happens February 21st when NASCAR's biggest stars return to the World Center of Racing. Don't miss 2 white-knuckle races that set the field for the 500. The Budweiser Duel at Daytona, February 21st, 2 Eastern, live on Speed. A little bit different than a Formula V car, the Duel.
I'll tell you what, though, the Duels don't have anything on the Rolex in intensity anymore. I mean, this is something else. And, yeah, the V thing is pretty cool. It's reading the tea leaves, Volkswagen to come out and do this big celebration, and they've not done anything around racing for a long time. I would kind of stay tuned with the VW folks, and they flew Ari Leyendyk in. Michael Andretti was here because of the Super V history. So I wouldn't be surprised if Volkswagen also part of that, you know, the top of that Audi Porsche group.
Pruitt is really doing what Pruitt does very well with the Ganassi 01. He pulled out about 6, well, it's now 9 seconds on that last lap, and he is just controlling his pace there with traffic.
Marcus Ambrose all over the the back of Ryan Hunter-Reay, using traffic to his advantage. And way back in the shot is Rockefeller. He's dropped back after that little nudge off track by the GT car. No longer a factor in this battle. That is the onboard from the number 3, I believe, Pedro Lamy behind the wheel of the 8-Star Motorsports Corvette. Not a factor in the battle, but you get to watch it from on board with those cars right in front. And Lamy running some good times, beginning to close down. Look at Ambrose. Look to the inside of Hunter-Reay. It's Ford power in the number 60 Chevy Corvette, the number 10. So Ford versus the bow tie, the blue oval versus the bow tie. Down the back straightaway here, out of NASCAR 2, and they'll head to the bus stop.
I think you're right there, Tommy. I think the 10 car is good under brakes, even though, you know, Marcus Ambrose is able to get right up behind in the tow here. He just can't pull it off under the braking at the moment.
Yeah, and it looks like Hunter-Reay's struggling a little bit, putting the power down up onto the banking.
I would like to point out for everyone, they're getting a lot of Twitter comments. No, I did not go out last night to some of Daytona's finest establishments. No, I wasn't drinking on the infield. Otherwise, I'd have shown you on tape. I have a horrible head cold, but I've had people going, wow, JB, you must have had a big night. No, I didn't.
Well, this
in his
battle,
defense, he sounded way worse.
Yeah, he was worse yesterday
morning.
He was way worse yesterday morning. Well, we talk about the different manufacturers battling here in Daytona Prototype. They're also battling in GT, remember, and the Rum Bum team, well, they're Audi R8s. They've been running well, Andrew.
Yeah, and I'm with a member of the famous German racing dynasty and a man who led a Formula 1 race. He's got to put his crash helmet on in just a minute. Marcus, Audi has slipped out of the top 3 at the moment. You had a bit of difficult deals with some speeding and stuff like that.
Yeah, we had speeding in the pit lane. I overtook the safety car, therefore we got 3.5 minutes penalty, so it's going to be not easy, but it's really tight now. I probably are going to stay until the end of the race now in the car. It's going to be a long stint. I'm going to push like hell until the end, and I give everything.
Great stuff, then. Go and get crash helmet on. And just to say that, Marcus, we want to know from you out there, folks, which Grand Prix did he lead?
I know. But I won't tell, because I don't want to ruin Andrew's little quiz, but I can tell you that they are working diligently to get that 13 back up at the front. Matt Plum behind the wheel of it right now. And Winkelhock comes from a pretty serious racing family.
He sure does. And, I mean, we joke about all the German being spoken around the Audi thing with all the technicians and engineers and so forth, but they have been disproportionately affected by all the penalties. The 13 cars had problems, 52 car, 24 car all had problems. Some were for contact, but a lot were procedural. And I'm wondering with these new procedures, if literally there was something lost in translation. They clearly didn't understand all the rules taking place on the waiver routes.
And these programs have all come together relatively fast. I mean, these are being run by independent teams with Audi factory support. So, you know, there's a lot of room for move there. We're watching something here happen in the bus stop.
Oh, that's the 66 from the Racers group, and after that off in the bus stop has come to pit lane. One of your teammates.
My teammate, yes.
Yeah, well, okay.
So doing a lot of work to the back of that, and the 44 is now in the pits. Andy Lally behind the wheel of the Magnus Racing Porsche. And I see no driver standing on the wall. Tires at the ready.
It strikes me as strange they're not doing a driver change right now, but maybe they're just going to try and get to the next break. So then the final driver can stay until the end of the race, which would make sense instead of...
At this point, in the middle of the night, to do a 244 stint would be doable. Now, in the heat of the day, guys are tired with the intensity at the end. You want to get them as close as you can get to the end of the race. And we're going to watch when all the teams, GT and Prototype, put their final bullets in the gun. I want to give a shout out to John Potter. They have a really good time, as we've seen by the poster and so forth. But he's the one that's behind this. Some of these teams have turned into all-pro teams, but he's a gentleman driver, and he drives. And he should drive. You know, he gets in that car and ran a number of stints. Sometimes the guys that are paying for everything get shuffled out the side in the interest of trying to win the races. And so I like to see that John Potter has a shot at a back-to-back win here in the Rolex 24. And another thing for Andy Lally, for whatever reason, because Porsches are unique, there's always debate over who is the fastest Porsche driver. No one asks who's the fastest Audi driver or whatever, but the fastest Porsche driver. And I know Andy Lally takes a lot of pride in being able to take the best that Jerome Leakemolen could throw at him and so forth. And so he's made a pretty strong case for himself in this race.
Just inside normal sprint race distance. 2 hours, 43 minutes left to go. Al Carter has climbed out of his mount, taking a break. Plenty of drivers yet to enter their cars and take the run to the checkered flag when we come back to Daytona.
15 manufacturers. 24 races. 162 race cars. 489 drivers. Over 100,000 laps. Nearly 300,000 miles. One tire manufacturer. Continental Tire. Innovative technology. Driving confidence.
It was the best day. 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 Because of you.
We make a great pair.
Huh?
Progressive. And the great outdoors. We make a great pair.
Right. Totally. That's what I was thinking.
Covering the things that make the outdoors great. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
Feeling buried by all the piles of paper in your home or office? Maybe it's time you traded in the old filing cabinet for a new office assistant. Meet the Neat Desk Scanner and Organizer, the only scanner that actually thinks while it scans. With Neat Desk, all your important documents can be easily scanned and then organized with the NeatWorks software. So that shoebox full of receipts instantly becomes a manageable expense report. That stack of business cards can go directly into your computer's contact list. Virtually any piece of paper automatically becomes a searchable document that you can find with a simple keyword. And here's the best part. If you call or visit us at tryneat.com right now, you can try the Neat Desk or the amazing Neat Portable Scanner for 30 days absolutely free. We'll even pay for the return postage if you decide to send it back. That's how confident we are that you'll love your Neat Organizer. So give us a call or go to tryneat.com for your 30-day free trial and say goodbye to all that paper.
Monster Energy Supercross Anaheim, Saturday, 10:30 Eastern, live on Speed.
It is go time, boys. They're going to go for great car control. That is unbelievable stuff. Just going to get tight there, mixing it up. Coming to pit lane, rolling the dice. That'll surround this field.
No holds barred racing right to the end.
That was an awesome drive. Tune in to the Grand Am Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. Saturday, February 2nd, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific.
I don't care what you say. I don't mind. I don't care what you say. I don't mind. I don't mind. While I'm rolling, better get out of my way. 'Cause I'm feeling, better move out of my way. You can't catch me, creeping like this way. So all you haters, better move out my way.
Everybody wanted number one. Try slow, hard, then you get the half fun.
Good stuff from here at the 51st Rolex 24. Scott Pruitt, top of the leaderboard. We've seen him there. Marcus Ambrose, I'm impressed. He is on a run towards the front. McNish, I don't think you can count him out. And then we start to get into big names that are dropping back. Dario Franchitti out in the 02. Jerome Bleakmolen there in the 23. That Porsche from Alex Job Racing running well in GT, and it's amazing because it has some serious battle scars on it right now.
Something that might be coming into play, and we heard some people touch on it as their cars' handling has changed as it's gotten warmer. After qualifying, Bleakmolen was a little confused by their pace deficit to the 44 car, for example, and the Tandy car. So it could well be, and I remember at the test, everybody was pointing at that 44 car, having something figured out. I talked to Andy Lally about it, and he said the new front tire was giving some guys some trouble. You see Tandy, who had in trouble early and is out. But the Magnus car seems to have come to grips with the tire, and maybe the hot conditions. The qualifying was at about the same time that this race is going to finish.
And the 69 was just on pit road. Routine stop, Jamie?
It certainly was. It did take a little longer than normal on that driver change. Mark Wilkins got out. Anthony Lazaro got in, but they were still trying to get Anthony strapped in once the fuel and the tires were complete. But other than that, the car looks good.
Well, you know, this event always takes its toll. We saw Nick Tandy there way back on the leaderboard, actually out early. He had qualified on pole. The 30 Momo NGT Porsche had run so well. We saw the problem they had with that left front suspension failure in the tri-oval. Battle scars on the 24 too. That's a piece that's been missing the entire time, and yet that Audi R8 continuing to run strong, being shown 7th right now as we cycle through pit stops. So it's getting to be that time. I mean, you think about it, guys, we've run over 21 hours, and it's one of those deals that this race, this event, this pace beginning to take its toll on the cars and the men that work the steering wheel and the pedals. The 63 was just on pit road and has done the driver change. Andrew?
Yeah, and I'm with Alessandro Balsan, who's the European Ferrari champion, but this is completely different, Alessandro. You're enjoying it, though?
Yeah, it's crazy because it's a 24 hours, but we are pushing like hell from the beginning to the end. I'm very happy with the guys of Scuderia Corsa, number 63. More I'm going on the stint, more I'm getting better on the car. So very happy about the feeling I have on the 458 here. Keep pushing till the end. I'm very happy about all the guys that we make. So I'm very thanks Ferrari and Scuderia Corsa.
Thanks very much. And Scuderia Corsa means, of course, Team Racing. Oh, that's a great name. Jamie.
The overall leader, the 01 from Ganassi Racing on pit road. The team just doing fuel and tires. Scott Pruitt is going to stay in. They're taking a little bit of extra time to make sure they get all of the grass, everything blown out of that car. The number 10, also an 01 stop is complete. It looks like he will resume the lead from pit lane.
90 on pit road as well, just in front of the 10, the multicolored blue Corvette Daytona prototype. Looks like routine service there. We also understood there was a radio report
all the way to the fast lane.
Close to the air hose, and you heard him say that time, all the way to the fast lane, try to get out there as soon as possible. We saw that drag race earlier today, but what I was saying was the 60, we heard a radio report, the temperature, water temperature may be becoming an issue.
And the grill, at least from here.
Fuel, tires, with the car.
So that was Mike Shank, you heard on the radio, telling Marcus Ambrose that he will be coming to pit lane and they will make a stop. 60 being shown in the lead, and I know Mike Shank would like to take a picture of that right now because they have worked so hard to get that car there. Obviously, that's where they'd like to see it at the end, and we still have a long ways to go. I can't stress enough that anything can happen. Anything can happen. That will break the record for lead changes here at the Rolex 24. Now 65 lead changes. And that will continue to change as we roll through here and see more pit stops as Ambrose comes to the pits.
It's a great opportunity for them, for Shank to check what that overheating issue is. As you said, Tommy, doesn't look like much debris on the front, but maybe it's in that top scoop, which we can't see. Maybe there's something in there from earlier. They did have a couple of, off-road excursions over time. So let's just see what they're doing. His hand is down there inside the no, it's not. It's on the left front wheel, but he's going to be checking. The telemetry is obviously showing a temperature rise, but let's face it, the cars have been there. If I told you at home you were going to run your road car for 21 and a half hours, how do you feel about that? These guys are going flat out in race conditions, so maybe a little temperature creep is just part of the course.
But of course, if you have a temperature issue, this is the last thing you want to do is stop in the pits because everything gets heat soaked at that point in time. Good stop for the 60.
Ambrose stays in just like Pruitt did.
Oh, and the 9 barely missing the tire from the 99. So Gainesco in as well, making a stop. Don't know if there was a driver change at the 9. Mike Rockenfeller still being shown behind the wheel of the Corvette from the Action Express. Rockenfeller trying to claim his second Rolex 24 win.
We're really setting up for that last hour finale, like you've been positioning it. Really, they're saving the best for last, fresh, hydrated, and just so you know, back in the old days, like when George drove here on your own, there was no masseurs or hydration or experts or nutritionists. These teams are well looked after. The drivers are well looked after, and they will be in peak shape for the final sprint to the finish.
Now, Ganassi, even though Kimball only did one stint, you have 4 drivers in that car, so a little less load. I mean, Pruitt's doing hard work now. You got to think that Ganassi feels good about his chances as we see the number 2 heading for pit road. He's got a rested Juan Pablo Montoya with a shot to win the Rolex, and you know, that's the situation they wanted to set up. But Shank's got to like things with Allmendinger as well.
The eyes of one of the most intense drivers in the field, Alan McNish, wants desperately to win this race. He's won it in class, but overall victory has slipped away from him. So close last year, and I think the word that you used was epic, and it was an epic battle, to say the least. The fight to the bitter end between Starworks and Michael Shank Racing, 2 of the teams that are thought of to be a little bit smaller teams, but I'll tell you what, they have grown over the years, not only in size, but in their ability.
They're certainly prepping the car. They just changed the water bottle for Alan, and they also took a tear off on the screen, front windscreen, because there's a lot of build-up. The track is so dirty out there from all the offs that we've seen, that and it's very bright sunshine today, so there will be sort of glare points on the track for the driver. Why not clean it up?
Something as simple as not getting the drink bottle changed at this point, the wheels can come off it because the guys are so tapped out, you know, fluids-wise. It's warm, so all the little details. The windshield having a tear-off left. So we've got Jamie Howe down with Mike Shank to tell us what they've got lining up for the end of this one.
Well, we heard that radio commentary that you guys are worried about the water temp issue. What's going on with the cars?
It's just full of sand. We're in Daytona Beach, so the thing's full of sand, but I think our position right now is a tribute to what Ford Racing and their engineering staff have done. We have Raj Nazir and Jamie Allison here with us from them, supporting us for the first time ever, high-ranking Ford guys. My crew have done a great job. I think we're up to P2, I think, right now, after being 8 laps down. I couldn't be happier, but we do have little niggling things like this, like you talked about, that we need to get through here. But I think we're okay.
You guys won here last year. How are you looking at your prospects for a repeat?
On a heads-up race with the 01, it's just not meant to be. Last year was our year, and I think everyone can see that. This year, they have a bit of an advantage on us. I hope that Grand Am and NASCAR will take care of that by the time we get to Austin like they did with us last year, and I'm cool with it. We're here to race. We're going to get as high as we can on the podium if that's possible.
All right, you guys are still in it. Thank you, Michael.
Well, and I said earlier, anything can happen. Marcus Ambrose comes in for his stop, heads back out on track, and once again, look at this. It can be somebody else that does it to you. And right in front of him, the 62 has the issue, headed down to the hairpin. I mean, there's a close call. And he says we just don't have the car this year. That Ford power plant, 300 RPM less allowed this year than they ran here last year. And that's going to take some power away, some top end away for sure.
But, you know, we saw the 02 fall out with the driveline problem. So basically what he's saying is in a heads-up duel, we probably don't have enough. But that's not the only way to win this race. So they're going to keep the pressure on, try to manage all the issues they're dealing with, and then see how it shakes out.
Well, you know, we saw at the open of the show Clint Boyer kind of give his ideas on sports car racing. We'll find out what he's like when he has to talk to an Englishman, Andrew.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. You've probably noticed I'm not Matt Yoakum, and I hope you can understand what I say. You're really enjoying this, aren't you?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. You know, I just want to thank Rob Kaufman and everybody. Being able to start the year off like this with both of my bosses, Michael Alsop and Rob Kaufman, pretty cool, man. Pretty cool to be here in a Ferrari and a Rolex. You know, these guys work their butts off. It's amazing what they go through for this race. The preparation is key, as always, in any kind of race. Certainly, they put their homework in and did a good job for us.
We got this thing going on, I think it's on Twitter. How do you rank in the all-time Ferrari drivers? I mean, we got Alberto Ascari up there somewhere, you know, Fangio and a few people.
Yeah, well, whatever he just said, I'm just going to say that I had fun today. I appreciate everybody.
Seriously, is this going to sharpen you up for the Sprint Cup road races?
You know, I don't know. I mean, the cars are drastically different, but anytime you can do road racing against this caliber of drivers, of course, you're going to learn some things from them. You know, just lines, you know, where you're at on the racetrack, where you're finding your apexes, just all the things you do as a road racer, you know, just kind of honing and sharpening your skills out here.
And Rob's going to be telling you all about Le Mans. He's going to want you to come to the 24-hour race there.
Yeah, but I think that's in the middle of my day job. I better stick to doing that.
Yeah, well, it's all coming up soon. Thanks very much.
Well, it's amazing to somewhat that he actually drives from Michael Waltrip. They had a problem back in 2008, and Boyer said Waltrip was the worst driver in NASCAR, period, and now Michael Waltrip is his boss. Clint Boyer having a good time. We'll be back to more from Daytona Beach and the Rolex 24.
They're coming out of the hills to conquer the world.
You think your little Euro trash ride can beat my American muscle?
John Reap and his Mullet Mafia pit muscle against import in an epic 3-round battle for a $10,000 paycheck.
He's going to ram that American muscle all the way down your throat. Don't mess with rednecks, man.
Are you faster than a redneck?
Bring it on.
Catch a special preview after the trucks race, February 22nd, only on Speed.
Racing cars and stopping Alzheimer's disease? Actually, it makes perfect sense. Because whether you're a race car driver, a roadie, or a rocker, Alzheimer's can happen to you. I'm Brian Johnson, and I'm a driver for the most powerful group in the fight, the Alzheimer's Association. Donate today to the Highway to Help and get us across the finish line just that bit faster.
Morning, boys. So I'm working on a cistern intake valve, and the guy hands me a lockout wrench.
No way.
I'm like, what is this? A drain pipe slip knot? Wherever your business takes you, nobody keeps you on the road like Progressive Commercial Auto. We work wherever you work. Now that's Progressive. Call or click to... Let's end this day right. Go, 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 go!
How do you plead?
Not guilty,
Your Honor. This family is going under. Facts.
Funny at all.
Shameless. New episode Sundays at 9, followed by House of Lies. Only on Showtime. Order today and get 2 premium packages for the price of 1. Call 1-800-531-5000 to order now.
Filing my federal taxes online last year was not a good experience. They said it would be free, but it cost me.
Bait and switch.
I deserve better, so I'm using TaxAct.
TaxAct.com.
Their code is like mine.
Integrity.
They mean what they say.
Simplicity.
It's fast and easy.
That's
and free.
That's value.
That's why I'm using
TaxAct.com.
All e-filable federal forms are free. TaxAct.com. It's how we act.
Long-distance racing has changed a lot in the last 50 years, and the biggest difference is that the cars are so much tougher, so much less prone to breaking down. This has brought about a revolution in the way they are driven. Today, you brake hard, shift fast, push the engine. Years ago, cars took on personalities as the race wore on. Now they are tools, inanimate devices that carry their drivers around and around and around again. They are also like tiny homes. Their controls as familiar as the layout of your kitchen. The atmosphere as humid as your shower. The instruments glowing as warmly as the embers in your heart.
Absolutely great stuff to look at the inside of those machines as they go around this racetrack. So much history here at the Rolex 24 at Daytona. They don't call it the World Center of Racing for nothing. Stock cars road racing, go-karts, motorcycles. It all happens here at Daytona. 2 hours, 24 minutes left to go in the 51st Rolex 24 at Daytona. Alan McNish on board, the number 2. He'll hand that car over to Ryan Dial, the other Scotsman on that team, and Dial will see what he can do to chase down Scott Pruitt, who puts another lap in the books in inches closer to his record-tying 5th win. If he can hold on, but there you go, another car entering the racetrack. We said anything can happen at any time. It doesn't have to be your fault. Lady Luck sometimes smiles your directions, and sometimes she does not. In the 60 car, they have come back from 7 laps down twice. Marcus Ambrose will be handing over to A.J. Allmendinger. Will he have enough to take the 60 to another win, Andrew?
Well, let's see. I understand Juan Pablo Montoya was going to talk to us, but he's so wound up, AJ, that he's not giving Jamie an interview. But you've always talked well, and you're really looking forward to this final battle now.
Yeah, it's what are we at here? We're at just over 20. One and a half hours. What a 21 and a half hours so far. It's Michael Shank Racing. It's Ford Riley. Mike Shank himself. And within the first 15 minutes, we had a tie rod break. We went 7 laps down. Got some of it back. Lost it all again. We had to go to the garage and fix the fuel pump. And it's the heart and soul of this team. These guys in here. I'm just fortunate enough to be a part of it. We got a never give up attitude. They've been like this for 8 years that I've been with them. And we fought as hard as we could to get back from the lead laps. Marcus Ambrose, Oswaldo Negri with a bum ankle, John Pugh, Justin Wilson. I'm just lucky to be a part of this, and these guys, it's a lot of fun right now. We got a shot at this thing.
If you do this and make it 2 in a row, might you have a new tattoo?
Well, these two right here already said they're going to get a matching tattoo on that says never give up, like the one I have on my shoulder. So we already got that. And last year, Mike Shank shaved my initials into his head. I might just reverse that and go MSR in my head.
Do you know what? It's good you never became a Formula 1 driver, because we never would have allowed that sort of thing.
Yeah, we have fun over here in the States.
Have a great final battle.
Thank you.
You notice I'm on my knees to you.
Well, I got 2 hours to go wheel this thing and try to get in victory lane, so I felt like the least you could do was sit down with me.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
A.J. Allmendinger has maintained his infectious personality through some of the personal struggles that he's been through, and it's good to see, and I think he's a different person now, and it's great to see him back. And we look a little further back in the field, you see the 17 Porsche from Burton Racing go past the 78, the Racer's Edge Mazda, the only Mazda RX-8 in the field, and it's Robert Grenauer in the 17. Grenauer ran here in 2007 in a Daytona prototype, but this team with Jack Baldwin, Claudio Burton, Mario Farnbacher, Martin Raginger, they put on a good show. They're running the 3.8-liter power plant in the back of their 911, and some of the other teams using the later model 4-liter, but this team out there soldiering along, and it has certainly been through the wars.
The car is actually quite a bit old. It is an amalgamation of parts. They call this car Frankensteina. And I think this will be the last time it's eligible, because it really doesn't fit the code exactly, but it's showing the wear. And here's another former winner, the 03 Extreme Speed car, Scott Sharp, overall winner, running 10th in GT. He had that overall win in '96, driving with Wayne Taylor.
And this team does such a great job. They won their first race in the American Le Mans Series last year in a Ferrari, fielding 2 cars in the American Le Mans Series. Guy Cosmo, Ed Brown drive 1. Scott Sharp, Johannes van Overbeek drive the other. And it's good to see him dabbling over here in the Rolex Sports Car Series. Jamie?
I was talking to the team engineer, Chachi, earlier in the week, and he said they just had this number 3 machine on the safety rig up in Northville on Monday of this week, and it wasn't to help them with this race just because it's too tight to apply anything that they learned, but it's to help them with the Endurance Championship that they are going to run over here at Grand Am. You mentioned their American Le Mans Series program. What they've been able to do within their team is improvements that they've done on the 458 that they race in GT2 and apply them to this GT3 machine. So they say from where they were with this car last year to now, it's substantial. The team's certainly showing some growth.
Well, and they've certainly showed plenty of speed. We talked about the victories last year, and the 59 now back out, the famous Brumos colors. Good to see after the 40th anniversary of Brumos' first overall win here. I know Andrew Davis had a problem dodging another car on the racetrack and did substantial damage to the 59. Good to see that they've gotten that fixed and back out.
I mean,
that paint job looks good, doesn't it?
It does look good, doesn't it? And, you know, you've got to remember that we tend to focus, as does the fans, on the leading cars, but everybody out there, crew, team, drivers, support crew, are working very hard throughout the race. And Brian Sellers in the car there right now is pushing very hard as he can in that car for the condition of that car right now. So, you know, it's and you're sitting where you are right now. They're 11th in club.
And Andrew Davis qualified that car on pole here last year, and I asked him about the Rolex GT Championship that he won with Lee Keen versus the pole that he won. And he said, you know, in some respects, the pole last year was even better on his resume because he went out against Porsche factory drivers and qualified a Porsche on the pole at the Rolex 24. And it just shows you how special this event is.
I talked about that battle for whatever reason amongst the Porsche guys. It's a big deal. And in qualifying, which means very little at this race, was very important to his career and his standing.
Brian Sellers, very experienced in Porsches. He drives the Falcon Tire Porsche with Wolf Hensler, who is a factory Porsche driver in the American Le Mans Series. Looking back a little bit further, another Porsche, the 45. This is another Porsche from Magnus Racing. And they had some problems early on. But it's just like everybody else. You know, you guys talked about it. There comes a point where you know you're not going to win the race. But what do? Park it in the garage? No, you go back out and you run. And for Mark Bowden, Al Carter, Charles Espenlaub, Hugh Blum, Charles Putman, there's no quit. You see the B positive on the front of that. They want to be positive for the foundation that they represent, and they want to run this race and finish it.
There's only two teams getting Rolexes, but, you know, everybody here that's made it this far, there's sort of a shared sense of accomplishment. The amount of energy expended by the teams, the officials, the caterers, etc. And here's another one.
And as you see the 72 car, J.F. Domlin behind the wheel. This is the Children's Tumor Foundation car. I was privileged to race with them here last year, and we went out. But some great fun things. They've got about 30 of the kids here, all wearing their little blue NF Hero shirts. I said to Patrick Long last night, on Friday night, this gives you about a second a lap in the middle of the night when you know these kids are here. There's a really fun thing coming up in the next month on February, just a weekend before Valentine's Day. It's called the Undie Fun Run. 18 cities, thousands of people running in their underwear will raise about $2 million for the foundation. So, Brian, not you, actually, no one in this booth should do this run. But I'm sure there's some fit young drivers that should go out there and do it. Anyway, lovely to see this car. And they had problems at the beginning, Brian. Dropped them all the way back down, I think 9 laps. And now they're sitting there and, you know, they're a long way behind. But it's unfortunately, they weren't able to take advantage of the yellow.
So you were training the other night.
That's what I was doing. Yes, exactly. You saw that.
Moving along, you talked about the problems of the 72 and the 73. It was a wheel nut problem, actually, on both cars, and they got that sorted out. And there is the sister car, Park Place Motorsports, John Horton, engineer, Patrick Lindsay involved with that team, Jason Hart driving right now, and this team is one of the up-and-comers in GT. Patrick Lindsay had some great drives with Eric Foss last year when this team was known as Horton Autosport, and they are taking their Park Place affiliation with Park Place Motorsports, Park Place dealerships in Dallas, and really doing great things with it. 2 hours, 15 minutes to go, and Scott Pruitt still out in front. In Daytona Prototypes, Anthony Lazzaro in the familiar 69 AIM FX DD Ferrari leads in GT, and that GT battle shaping up to be a good one.
It's so easy when you know what you're doing. It's so easy when you know how. It's so easy when you know what you're doing. It's so easy when you're doing it now.
Max Clean from Royal Purple.
the advanced 3-in-1 answer to penetrate, clean, and protect your fuel system against deposit, sludge, and varnish. Max Clean can be used with all fuel-injected and carbureted engines using gas, ethanol blends, diesel, or biofuel. Max Clean from Royal Purple. Feel the difference.
So we all set?
I've got 2 tickets to paradise. Pack your bags, we'll leave tonight.
It's next month, actually.
Paradise.
No, 4, remember?
You know, Ronnie, folks who save hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico sure are happy. And how happy are they, Jimmy? Happier than any money running a travel agency.
Get happy. Get Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
From Maine to Maui, thousands of high school students across the country are getting in on the action by volunteering in their communities.
It's great helping others, and it feels good too. Are you in? Whoa!
Anyone can do it. All it takes is a little time. Are you in?
Action teams of high school students are joining Volunteers of America and Major League Baseball players to help train and inspire the next generation of volunteers.
It's easy to start an action team at your school, so you too can get in on the action.
Are you in? Get in on the action at actionteam.org.
NASCAR is back, and speed delivers Daytona's biggest thrills.
Contact again.
Drama and racing excitement.
Oh!
Live coverage of Daytona Speed Weeks begins February 14th, only on Speed.
And the crowd has turned out in droves, expecting to see a great race. And every driver has but one goal, and that is to win the race.
Green, green, green.
Look at them jostling around it. That is a dangerous move. That is high risk. What a race. What a day.
Tune in to the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series, Sunday, April 7th, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Pacific, only on Speed.
The Rolex 24 at Daytona is presented by Rolex, official timekeeper of the Rolex 24 at Daytona. Plenty campers, plenty fans here. Sports car racing, you wander around the entire facility here at Daytona, or you sit on top of your motorhome and try to take in the sights, and it's perfect weather to do it. The 51st running of the Rolex 24 at Daytona. Scott Pruitt leads, and I said when we went to break that Anthony Lazzaro was leading in GT. I misspoke. Andy Lally still out in front in his Magnus Racing Porsche, the number 44. You ride on board the number 3 Corvette Daytona prototype.
And this will give you some insight into the pounding we keep referencing about using the curbs and so forth. That very first curve into the bus stop next time we go around, listen to the car. But they'll be on the curb everywhere. They're on the inside curb, the outside curb. Radius equals speed. So you're trying to use every bit of paved track that you can. And, you know, you might say we're going to try to stay off the curbs to save the wear and tear of the car, but if someone starts doing it and you lose speed, then everybody's doing it. So it's gotten to that point, and we'll just lay out a little bit. Listen, this is where we're talking about going into the bus stop.
Not only do you have the bumps, you've got people throwing rocks in your face when you're right behind them as well.
Your face, you can't see. You heard the engine rev when the wheels got light. Every time it goes up, unweights the driveline, twists it again when it lands, putting unbelievable loads through all the parts, both driveline and suspension.
Gives you a good idea how long it takes in a GT car to get back around to turn 1.
Mickelhawk worrying him on the outside.
You ride on board the number 13 Audi. It's the number 64 Ferrari right in front. And part of the time on those downshifts, you can hear the Ferrari actually on the onboard camera.
I'm going to give a shout out to the Rum Bum folks as we switch to the WeatherTech car. Rum Bum is becoming mostly known in the Continental Sports Car Challenge Series, but really distinctive, beautiful cars. And I think years from now, looking back, like we look at Brumos now and Martini from the old days, I think we'll look at Rum Bum as some of the most iconic looking cars.
That's on board the 90 Spirit of Daytona Corvette. Antonio Garcia behind the wheel. It could be just a camera location. You don't hear it quite as much on the Daytona prototypes as you heard it on the GT cars.
I think there was just a very messy lap as well. When the car in front throwing up gravel and stones, it just amplifies the noise. But actually, you know, Garcia here, he actually only ran the exit left-hand curve, which you do every lap. If you go 6 more inches to the left, then you run the hole, and then you start beating the car up.
That was on board with Marcus Winkelhock in the 13 through the bus stop.
Spectacular angle there. Thanks to our producers for showing us that, because I think that really gave you at home an idea of you could see the car shake, you could see, and you could hear the noise. You see it's not often we get this angle. You see the paddle shifters there? The Audi R8 comes with those, and some of the other cars you have sequential. The Porsche's in the middle of the dashboard. So you'll see it right now, right here as he taps it down. The downshift is on this side, and the upshift is on this side. There's my drawing. It actually looks like a little man with long arms, but that's fine. I was an art major, believe it or not.
You'll notice in some of the Porsches that we rode on board with, it is a sequential shift, but there is a gear lever. The Audi and the Ferrari have the paddle shift systems on them.
If I'm not mistaken, the Ferrari paddles are actually fixed like they are in the road car, which is a little different from once you turn with the wheel.
On board the 90, that's the Spirit of Daytona Corvette. Antonio Garcia, and you saw him reach over the sequential shifter, the shift linkage. He reaches over and just pushes forward to downshift as he went into the bus stop. Long ago, we ran H-pattern gearboxes, and you'd be hard-pressed to find one of those in any of the top classes of racing anymore.
Ferrari do not actually make an H-pattern box anymore. So long live the gate. And down to Jamie, she's there with the 2 car.
Off the front brake line.
They've got the number 2 from Star Wars has come into the pit. When Alan McNish got out of the car, he was complaining about a sticky throttle. When they put Ryan DL in the car, they were running through his diagnostics. They were having him pump the brake pedal and checking where the fluid was going. They couldn't figure it out. Then Ryan noticed that underneath the brake pedal, there was actually no floor left. They have completely sheared away the front brake line. They are going to have to go back to the garage to fix it. As soon as the car gets out of the way, the crew gets sorted. We're going to grab Peter Barron and see what's going on.
Wow, what a shame.
What were you saying seconds ago about the unexpected? You've got a plan for it, and it's just happened. There he is. Very, very sad to have this. Very sad. Ryan was completely ready to push for that last stint, and yeah, crazy stuff.
Well, and earlier in the broadcast, when Bob Barster was on, he was talking about Bourdais looking down a lot, maybe looking down at that brake pedal, seeing if he could find a problem with it, not liking the way it was feeling. So, as we've said, anything can happen. It's happened to the 2. Will it happen to the 0-1? We'll find out when we come back.
Your child doesn't know how many engineers it took to design your tires, or which tread designs didn't make the cut. Your child doesn't care about road surface conditions. Your child doesn't care because they put their trust in you. Which tires are you going to put your trust in? Continental Tires. Innovative technology. Driving confidence.
Look, if you have COPD like me, you know it can be hard to breathe and how that feels. COPD includes chronic bronchitis and emphysema. Spiriva helps control my COPD symptoms by keeping my airways open for 24 hours. Plus, it reduces COPD flare-ups. Spiriva is the only once-daily inhaled COPD maintenance treatment that does both.
Spiriva, Handihaler tiotropium bromide inhalation powder, does not replace fast-acting inhalers for sudden symptoms. Tell your doctor if you have kidney problems, glaucoma, trouble urinating, or an enlarged prostate. These may worsen with Spiriva. Discuss all medicines you take, even eye drops. Stop taking Spiriva and seek immediate medical help if your breathing suddenly worsens, your throat or tongue swells, you get hives, vision changes or eye pain, or problems passing urine.
Other side effects include dry mouth and constipation.
Nothing can reverse COPD. Spiriva helps me breathe better.
Ask your doctor about Spiriva.
February 8th, 5 NASCAR heroes receive the sport's greatest honor. The first back-to-back champion, a driver turned owner with an eye for talent, the sport's first superstar, a champion that never backed down, and a man who revolutionized the pit stop. See Baker, Owens, Thomas, Wallace, and Wood enshrined. The 2013 NASCAR Hall of Fame induction ceremony, February 8th at 7:30 Eastern, exclusively on SPE.
Feeling buried by all the piles of paper in your home or office? Maybe it's time you traded in the old filing cabinet for a new office assistant. Meet the Neat Desk Scanner and Organizer, the only scanner that actually thinks while it scans. With Neat Desk, all your important documents can be easily scanned and then organized with the NeatWorks software. So that shoebox full of receipts instantly becomes a manageable expense report. That stack of business cards can go directly into your computer's contact list. Virtually any piece of paper automatically becomes a searchable document that you can find with a simple keyword. And here's the best part. If you call or visit us at tryneat.com right now, you can try the Neat Desk or the amazing Neat Portable Scanner for 30 days absolutely free. We'll even pay for the return postage if you decide to send it back. That's how confident we are that you'll love your Neat Organizer. So give us a call or go to tryneat.com for your 30-day free trial and say goodbye to all that paper.
We're back at the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona, where we have just over 2 hours of racing left, but it has been an hour of struggle for Star Wars Motorsports. Peter Barrett, you guys are back in the garage. What's wrong, and when will you be back?
We just had two things go wrong. We had a throttle linkage that's been hung up. We've had a problem with that kind of all week, and they had an update for the motor, but I don't know if it was related to that or with all the offset these guys have had. There's so much debris inside. Maybe it's something in the pedal linkage that could just be dirt in there. And then that was compounded with we had a brake line failure where one of the lines just ruptured. So we think we have the linkage fixed, and now we just have to replace that brake line, maybe about 15 minutes, and we're back out there, but it's just been an atrocious event.
You guys are still in it, though. Good luck getting it done.
Boy, when you get a sticking throttle and you got bad brakes on the car, it's a combination of things you don't want to have.
No, and I mean, they've been up against it from the start, really. Things haven't gone their way, and so I don't think this will hurt as much as last year.
Now, you'll notice that the number 10, Max Angelelli, in front of the 60. So Angelelli's picked up a spot on Marcus Ambrose. And when you've been around as long as Angelelli has, you learn to play a few tricks. And this time, I don't know if it was a trick that he actually had planned or he just used a little bit of lady luck. But look at the GT battle in front of him. Ambrose gets pinned up behind, wants to go low.
He just absolutely pinned is the word. He thought the 64 was going to not get into the altercation there, sort of with the BMW, and absolutely trapped down there. God, that must have been so frustrating.
Great job.
But you know, no harm, no foul in the end. He's right back behind him, and you know, track position, track time.
And now the shoe's on the other foot. Like we've said, it's harder for the guy to get to the traffic first. And look at Ambrose looking up the outside. But Wayne Taylor Racing, the Velocity Worldwide car, they've played their ace. So they want Angelelli at the end. They got him to within about 2 hours and 10 minutes to the end. He's going to take it to the end. Allmendinger is going to be a little bit fresher than Max is because we're going to have to wait and see how far Ambrose goes here and when the leaders start playing their final, firing their final bullet.
Well, remember the other two bullets in the gun on the number 10 for Wayne Taylor would either be Ryan Hunter-Reay, who just got out of the car, so you're not going to put him back in, or Jordan Taylor, who is brand new in that car for this year. And look at Ambrose coming back on Angelelli. And perhaps they just feel like they don't want Jordan Taylor to be in that car at the end, but he was spectacular in the early going, and Ambrose now taking the fight back to Max Angelelli. It's Ford versus Chevrolet.
Battle of the brakes coming up here, and he's got it on the inside. Very sweet. That's just good driving. They know they can do that lap after lap.
Exactly where we saw the weakness in the 10 car before, up onto the bank. When Hunter-Reay was in the car, that's where he seemed to be struggling. Good under the brakes, but Ambrose, got past, not up through speed. Now he's come right back at it. So
Angelelli now closing on the back of Ambrose. We said he's good under the brakes, good at corner entry. It's power off where the 10 car seems to have the biggest problem. Talk about equality. Straight line speed between these two entrants, at least at this point in the race, is very good. Side by side into one. Ambrose holds the position. Angelelli continuing to attack.
The long way round there in an equal car is not a fair fight, you know. So he discretion the better part of valor there. They're just catching up on the back of one of the GT cars, so that will obviously create a gap, especially as you're coming up the flat left-hand kink here. This is the place where the car, you see, he just gets pinned behind him, so you lose suddenly a second and a half.
If you wonder at home why the GT cars don't get out of the way, they can't just disappear. They're driving the best race that they can. When we come back to Daytona, Bob Barsha, Calvin Fish, Dorsey Schrader will join you in the booth. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back. Make sure you stay with us. Be sure to be watching tonight on Speed Center, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Mario Andretti, the legend himself, will be in studio with Adam Alexander to announce the winner of this year's Speed Performer of the Year award and the Mario Andretti Trophy. There you see the finalists. Who will be our honoree this year? Find out tonight, live here on Speed at 7 p.m. Eastern with Adam and special guest Mario. Welcome back. Less than 2 hours to go in the 24 here at Daytona with Calvin Fish and Dorsey Schrader. I'm Bob Barsha. Chris Neville and Matt Yoakum are downstairs. And we understand that there could be a problem on the 10 car. We're at the point of the race. Well, basically
2-4 laps before we come in.
24 hours ago, all the strategists might look at the clock once every 30 minutes or so, but now they'll be watching it every single minute. They'll be watching the timing and scoring screens for the gaps between the race cars on track. And there is still an awful lot of work to be done on these cars.
Something may be amiss with this 10 machine. Simon Hodgson just said 2 more laps, which will make it a 27-lap stint for Angelelli. They certainly don't want to do an unscheduled stop. If there is an issue, try and hit that fuel window if you can. But no indication yet. The car seems to be on song. Was in a great battle there with Marcus. Have to wait and see.
Been a record 68 lead changes in this 2013 edition of the Rolex 24. 14 full course cautions. That is not a record.
One thing I still question when Ganassi did that brake change about 4 hours to go, the fact that the SunTrust team did not take the opportunity to refresh their brakes, Dorsey. It would have been 7 hours to get to the checkered flag here today and keep those brakes fresh. And we understand they're pretty aggressive on their pad setup. Here we see another one of the cards about to be played, as TK said. Your final gun, AJ Allmendinger. He is focused, he is ready. And even though that 01 car may have some speed, AJ's going to give it everything if he can get in a shootout with we expect to be JP and Juan Pablo Montoya.
After this race last year, Michael Shanks said, winning the Rolex 24 in Daytona changed my life and my race team in every possible way. And I'm sure A.J. Allmendinger would back up that statement. His life changed as well. Let's get more from Chris Neville on the 10 car.
Well, Bob, just checking in with Wayne Taylor, and he said their problem with the car is with the electronics in the gearbox, and when they're hitting bumps, they're having a hard time shifting that car. Now, he said there is the possibility that during a pit stop that they can cut a wire, and that would allow that to shift properly when going over the bumps. But he said it's not that big of a deal, and it's not slowing them down that much. So he's thinking at this point in time that they won't do that they will not cut that wire, that they will just drive the car the way it is until the finish.
What you don't want to happen right now is for the transmission to start missing shifts because the gears are weak. They've got a lot of wear on them. They've got a lot of miles on them right now. And if they start kicking it back and forth between gears, you can knock the teeth off one of those. And once that happens, all that debris gets in the gearbox, and it's a death spiral. So if it's not shifting properly, I think I would do anything possible with this much time left to get it to shift right.
Maybe coinciding if they're high up in the RPM range when they hit that bump.
With the gear sensor, is it consistent? Is it okay? Can you deal with it? Looks like. Okay then, we're going to leave it for now.
I think Max is one of those drivers that haven't.
Heads up for reserve.
The heads up if he needs to hit the reserve switch on the fuel pumps. But Max is one of those guys, if he has a single issue, he's probably saying, hey, I've got a major problem here. Simon's just trying to talk him through it. Is it a consistent problem? No, it's okay. Just focus and get on with the job.
Nighty's got the deck off, guys, looking at the injury, something at least at the back of the car.
Ollie Gavin just tweeted that he heard there may be an exhaust issue again with that car. They're looking down in that left rear quarter. They had that sparking going on last night. Chris, what do you see down there?
Yeah, Calvin, I've been listening to this car going around the racetrack, and I initially thought that maybe it had a header issue or maybe it was even down a couple cylinders because it just sounded so bad as it was coming through the tri-oval. But now as they've taken off the engine cover, we can really see that the exhaust has really come apart in this engine bay area. You know, the pipes that typically come out to the back end of the car, they're broken off. They're pretty much just the headers, and that's all that's left there. So they're just trying to clean things out and get the car back into the fight. But obviously they're not fighting for a win at this point in time.
Well, again, Chris, we talk about issues earlier in the event. We talk about Jamie McMurray. Was it the hit that caused the problem? Ultimately had driveline issues. We had the exhaust drag in the ground last night. That's now gone to the head exhaust as we see the leader hit pit lane.
Well, watch that. That exhaust system being broke with steel power, no question about it. And you see Scotty limping over there.
To Chris Neville.
Yeah, boy, you saw Scott Pruitt get out of the 01 car there with a serious limp, and I talked to Tim Keene about that right before Scott got in the car for this stint. He said it's his ankle injury from about 25 years ago that's really been acting up, so they were going to keep him in the car for, he told me at that point in time, one stint. Scott just did two, so that ankle's going to really be bothering him. We'll talk to him in just a second, but JPM now behind the wheel, he's going to finish this out, and that was just Sunoco fuel and Continental tires on the car there. I'm going to jump over the wall here because last time we didn't get a hold of Scott Pruitt. He had walked away, got back to the coach before we could get him, but I'm going to get him right now. And Scott, saw you get out of the car there. Big limp. You got a limp back here. You doing okay, man?
It's my ankle. It just tore up. You know, it's frustrating because it's just a lot of years, you know. It's an old IndyCar injury tied to my family home, but the car's running good. Telmex BMW is just fantastic. The nasty guys are doing a good job. That's what I was telling Timmy. I wasn't sure if we're going to be fighting hard for the end. Just not sure my ankle could hang out, being able to push as hard as maybe we had to push. So that's why the change up there.
Yeah, well, you look pretty wiped out. 52 years old, that ankle injury, but you guys are just keeping that car up front. And when you got behind the wheel, I think you were in 4th or 5th on that caution. And I think it was within 8 minutes you were back in the lead.
Like I said, the car's working good. We love the balance. You know, we worked real hard on getting it right. We really trimmed the car out, but also at the same time really worked on it mechanically. So, fingers crossed.
Well, this team always shows up ready to win this race. They were the favorites going in, and obviously everything seems to be falling their way today.
We'll take another look at Scott getting out of the car. I can testify to the seriousness of that injury. I was working for another network back then. Scott suffered the injury testing an Indy car. I believe it was at Moroso Motorsports Park here in Florida. And it was a devastating injury to his right leg. He and I were scheduled to call time trials for the Indianapolis 500 that year. Scott arrived at the booth in a wheelchair with pins and rods and bandages everywhere. Down to Matt Gilman.
Marcos Ambrose getting out. Bob a pat in the back by A.J. Allman. They are climbing in. They were averaging about 25 seconds per driver change on Friday when they were rehearsing it. 4 tires going on, fuel, going to top them off with Sunoco, and A.J. will run 2 stints to the finish. Michael Shank told me as they're packing that fuel cell full of fuel, the only adjustment they're looking at making, which they've been doing consistently, adjusting John Force's down pit road as they were basically trying to get him more grip in the back end of the car, Chris.
Well, the 9 car's out with all the problems with the 2, the 10, the 60, the 90. It looks like this 9 car might be the only one that's really going up against the 01, and that was Joao Barbosa getting behind the wheel. Mike Rockenfeller getting out of the car right now. He still has his helmet on as he's getting yeah, he's got his helmet off now, so we're going to be able to get a word with Mike as he just put in a good stint in the car. Mike, we've seen a lot of the competitors going for the win here, having problems. You guys still seem to be in a pretty good position to take it to the 01 car, but do you have the speed?
I don't think so. I mean, it's clear the whole race. When we race wheel to wheel or door to door, no chance. And so we try to keep out of trouble. You know, we are still there. The team is doing a great job. on fueling. We lose 2-3 seconds every stop, so that's not helping. But we did 2 adjustments for my last stint, some tire pressure adjustment and the rear deck gurney for the rear on the wing, and the car is better, but I think it's as good as it can be. And Joao, one of the best out here, and I'm sure he tries everything he can.
Yeah, we've seen some great drives from Joao Barbosa over the years. Is he going to be able to do anything against Juan Pablo Montoya?
We will see. The car, like I said, is not quick enough. But, you know, it's racing, and you never know. It's over when the checkered is out, and honestly, I would be very happy to be on the podium, because before the race, I wasn't expecting that, the speed we had. And now I think my teammates did a great job. I tried my best now to push real hard. I wasn't here at the pre-test, so it took me a while in the race. But now it's racing, sprint race, and now I think I was up to speed, but it's all depending on traffic.
I'll get some rest. Matt?
And down in the Michael Shanks Racing pit, Marcos Ambrose just finished going around and thanking all the different crew members working on this 60 for giving such a great piece. Boy, you just drove your guts out. 25 seconds was the difference before you hit pit road.
Yeah, I just got to thank Mark Shank Racing for giving me the chance. I had a blast out there. You know, I'm raced against the best sports car drivers in the world, and it was a blast. I tell you what, I'm whipped. It was a tough run there. We had a good duel with Max, and you know, I just didn't want to give him that spot. So we had fun, and hopefully AJ can bring it home for us.
Lap cars, it seemed like, and other class cars, be creating more and more of a hindrance as we're getting closer to the finish.
Yeah, you know, it's getting better now. It's thinning out some. It's just, you just got to take your chances, you know. And I got unlucky a couple of times, and then, you know, I got pretty forceful and made some good moves and was able to keep track position. So I'm pretty pumped. Thank you to Stanley for giving me the chance to. And Mike Shank, he's got a great race team. If we win or not, doesn't matter. It's a first-class, world first-class race team.
Michael said basically the track is getting warmer and warmer, losing more and more grip.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of suiting our car. The looser the track gets, the better we go compared to the field. So it's not easy, but it's fun.
All right, grab a seat, grab some water.
Thank you.